platform reaching 1.4 billion users per month. And we are also the inventor of the in-read format, which places video at the heart of editorial content on premium publishers. As a company, we believe that technology and better collaboration between creative and media teams can enable the industry to overcome the challenges that we are currently facing, right? And also increase the value of ads for both publishers, consumers, and brands. So I will start with the challenges, with this statement that Morin Rocher did in Cannes this year. She said that the two scarce resources in digital were trust and attention. Trust is definitely a very hot topic in DMEXCO this year. I have seen many conferences on this topic for a very good reason. Right? Because we have 80% of consumers who buys on trust. If they trust your brand, they are twice more likely to buy it first, to advocate for it, to be loyal to your brand, and they would be 58% more likely to pay attention to your ad, right? This is why trust is still at stake. In digital, it can be a bit challenging to build trust. And the reason is because, well, I presume, as humans, we don't trust machines, as much. If you take a self-driving car as an example, I think it's really interesting to see how slow is the adoption of self-driving car. They would be 10% better at driving than us, humans, but still you have 7 out of 10 consumers saying they are afraid to ride in a self-autonomous vehicle. This is quite interesting. And what we say also around digital is that in digital, it's easier to cheat and fake. If you take counterfeiting, for example, counterfeiting has been blooming with the development of e-commerce. It represents now more than 1/3 of the global market for fake goods, right? And Amazon itself has recognized that counterfeiting was a huge risk that could affect its reputation, its profitability, if it was not addressed at the earliest. For the digital industry and the advertising industry, ad fraud represents between 19 billion and 39 billion, depending on the source, of the market, which is huge. In terms of media, we have heard a lot about fake news in the last 3 years. Now we're going one step further with deepfakes. Deepfakes are those, video recording that just look like real but are fake, and they can be made very easily with a piece of software by anybody. You don't need to be a Hollywood studio or working in an intelligence service to be able to make those videos. Let's have a look at this example.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson was in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia. Thank you. Stay woke, bitches.
Scary, right? It really shows you that deepfakes can be a weapon for disinformation, and it can also erode the trust we place in the content online. That's for this reason that Facebook and Microsoft launched this big competition last week in order to tackle this issue and create technical solutions to detect this type of deepfakes. Digital makes it also easier to track consumers, right? This is an experiment that a reporter from the Washington Post did with his iPhone. He realized that apps were passing information to third parties when he was sleeping, right? So even so, Apple tells you what is on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. It seems like 100% privacy online doesn't really exist, right? So when you think about it, fake news, fake ads, fake followers, our devices spying on us, it really reminds me that this scene in the Truman Show, when Truman realized that everything around him is fake, right? This is a certain type of feelings that you have that we have as consumers or brands when we realize that what we thought was real is actually fake, right? And this year is really the year where we all realize that we should be more demanding and put pressure on digital players so that we have more security and privacy online. As a result, we see consumers being more cautious, right? For example, only 4% of users say they were trusting information coming from influencers on social media. There were 73% saying that they were afraid fake news could be a weapon that can be used, against democracy. And 2/3 of consumers were mentioning that misuse of data was a driver of distrust towards tech companies. Right, so this is a real problem. As a matter of fact, we found that half of consumers are starting to take actions to share less information online, deleting their search histories, or disabling geolocalization services. Consumers also expect brands to take their responsibilities, which means, as you can say from those stats from the Edelman report, putting pressure on social players so that they respect their privacy, and also that they clean, the fake news on their sites, and also the misinformation that proliferate on social media. What is also worrying for brands is that consumers assume that brands endorse the context surrounding their ad, which means that if you have your ad on YouTube playing before a content featuring, let's say, child abuse, the consumer will assume that as a brand you are aware of it and you endorse it. Obviously, this is a big problem, and this is what keeps Mathilde Delou up at night. She's the global brand leader at LVMH. She doesn't want any of the LVMH brand being in a context that can be not suitable for it, and also she is afraid that it could be detrimental for brands. There is a very simple answer to that. If you put your ad in a premium environment, in an editorial environment, you will get the brand safety that you need, but also you will benefit from this halo effect. You know, when consumers place trust in the content, this is also driving trust in advertising. Right? That's what you see here when you compare editorial and social media. You see that users associate brand advertising in editorial as far more reliable than in social media. Far more reliable, trustworthy, and high quality. That's the perception they have. So for all these reasons, all the global big advertisers, media agencies, and publishers partner to make real ads in a safe context for real people. That's the Global Alliance for Responsible Media that we are part of. And the objective of this alliance that has been announced in Cannes this year is to identify actions, protocols, processes that will enable or that will protect brands and consumers from those safety issues. As a tech company, we do believe that technology can be also an enabler of trust. Technology can enable brand safety. Technology can also enable personalization of ads in the respect of the user's privacy. So this is an example of what we do in terms of brand safety management. We are relying on two companies, Great Shot and AIS, and we have a system that really guarantees brand safety for brands. Now, once you have built trust, what do you do with the second scarce resource, attention? So according to Lumen, 1 out of 5 digital ads that are visible are actually seen, and only 6% of mobile ads are watched for less than 1 second, right? Which is really little. And this is getting more and more difficult as mobile has become the first screen in the life of consumer, right? Mobile is distracting us. Let's have a look at this quick video.
Architects of our digital world, stop, be better, because we can be, and we can see that these systems have been designed with intricacy, so that companies can keep our attention indefinitely. I don't want to keep crushing these freaking candies. I don't want these alerts to completely command me. I don't care if that panda bear is dancing. Or maybe with that Hulu. Okay, this is fantastic. I have to share this with my 10 friends and 10,000 strangers. Caption, who wants to throw a panda rager? Great, let me go back about my life. For God's sakes, I'm trying to right swipe my wife. Huh. 30 seconds and just 2 Facebook likes. Or is that just 2 for which I've been notified? Let me go back and check inside and see whose likes I tried to hide. They don't show them all, I wonder why. This panda is dancing. And another video plays after automatically. This one of a gopher that stage turns dramatically. It's like my attention is kept systematically raptured by algorithms that know exactly what I want. Or not what I want, just what I watch. Wait, where was I? Why have I forgotten to look for that thing I'm supposed to find? And my God, look at the time. It is shocking. But somehow, yes, Netflix, I am still watching. And I know. I should have more self-control.
To you as well, right? This moment where you realize that you spent 2 hours browsing. And actually that's what Tristan Harris observed when he was working at Google 6 years ago. And he thought that, the design of applications and services should be more respectful of the user attention, right? Which means less interaction, a better control to the user. And he did a wonderful presentation on this topic, which is still available online, and created this whole movement around time well spent online. Then he left Google and he created, as a Center for Human Technology, advocates with other thought leaders for applications and services that really put the user into the control of his time and his attention. Here are two examples of applications. Moment, it's an application that monitors the time you spend online, the time you spend on your phone, very useful. You see the number of pickups you have per day, for example, and you have a family feature in it, which is very interesting to track what your kids are doing. Then there is Strive, which is an application which turns your phone into a dumb phone. You can only make or receive calls, that's all. So very good to keep the focus on what you're doing. So when you think of this new ecology of attention, and you apply those principles to advertising, you realize that the old way of doing, forcing the user to watch, forcing attention, is no longer sustainable. We have to be better. And for us, the only viable option, and that it is really what we are doing since the beginning, is to prompt the user attention, to entice the user to watch, but leave him in control. Right? And that's also the most effective way of doing advertising. When the user chooses to watch and is engaging with the content, then that's where you get the better results. It goes with challenges. So, the first one is the media challenge, to plan for attention. How do we do that? Right, EIB UK has released recently a white paper on this topic, and they gave us the 5 rules of attention. So the first rule is to place your ad in quality environments. Because in quality environments, in premium sites, you have 3 times more attention to the content than on task sites, for example. Let's say weather forecast. The second rule is to place your ad in line with the content, not on the side. You will get twice more attention when you place it in line with the content. Then there is a clutter rule. More clutter, less attention, right? So the less clutter, the better in terms of attention. The fourth driver is targeting. When ads are targeted to the relevant audience, they get 2 times more attention, and they are 6 times more likely to be remembered. Right? This is really important in terms of optimization. And the last one is the last advice from the EIB is fit for purpose, which is adapting ads for mobile platform. When you do so, you get 86% boost in terms of attention. So again, very significant. We did some study on the context driver, and we did find, when compared to social media, that users were more likely to watch ads placed in premium environments than when they were just in their social feed. The reason being that users consuming content on premium environment are actually reading it for 80% of them, so they are more engaged with the content and they are paying more attention to the ads. Now let's move one step further. What about buying on attention, right? At the moment, the industry transacts on CPM. You know, buyers, they just buy impressions and monitor the campaign towards completion, viewability, depending on what their KPIs are. This is a very manual process, and it's really time consuming. So we thought we had to address this need, and we have developed a new feature within our Teads Ad Manager, which allows you to buy ads on viewable CPM, and you define the level of visibility that you want. Right? It could be 2 seconds, which is the MRC standard, but it could be anything else. It could be 9 seconds, for example. Right? In this case, you will pay only for viewable impressions at this level, 9 seconds, and all the rest will be free media. And all the campaigns are validated using notes, right? This is a great step forward buying and planning on attention. Now the second challenge that goes with this approach of prompting attention and forcing it is a creative challenge. Right? At the moment, 80% of the ads we are delivering on mobile are just TVCs. It's not good enough. We have to adapt them to mobile at minimum, and we should design them for mobile. So let's look at adapting to mobile first. So we have been running a lot of tests together with the studio team, which is the team of creative strategists and designers within Teads. And based on all the tests we have done, we have mapped out the 4 key dimensions that are critical to be effective on mobile. So the first dimension is what we call the stopping power, which is the ability of to grab the attention of the user, to get on the radar of the user who is browsing. And for that, you have to generate a stimuli which is strong enough to grab the attention. It could be a strong visual, bright colors, contrast, animation. All of this will help to grab and create a surprise effect. Then the second dimension is the ability of your ad to give to the user a reason to watch it in less than 1 second, right? It goes in 1 second. Your brain needs only 1 second to process the ad cognitively and decide whether or not it wants to watch it. Right, so in order to do that, you have to give to the user all the relevant information to make this decision and to remove the rest. And given that our brain prioritizes information within our visual feed which are relevant to us and rewarding. It means, for example, if I like Nike products and I see a Nike logo, I will be more likely to pay attention to this ad and decide to watch it. So that's the locking power in less than 1 second. Then we have the ability of your ad to engage with the users and to retain attention. Right? We have to go beyond the first second and engage throughout the end. And it really goes down to the story, right? And how good the story is. Is there suspense? Is the pace good? You have to make sure your ad can be understood as well with sound off when there is a voiceover, as most of the ads on mobile are watched without sound. And you can also leverage interactivity to engage the user further. The last dimension is the ability of your ad to create a positive response and to deliver the outcome that you are expecting. It could be branding, it could be driving visit to the website, and for that we can add call to action and script that can springboard the messaging. So that's basically what we do when we adapt ads to mobile. Let's have a look at this quick example. So on the side you have the original asset, which is plain video, the naked video, I would say, that we dressed. Right, we create a format around it, adding a skin, adding a logo, adding a tagline, adding a call to action. So we enrich the creative using a format that we build around the asset. This is an example of an ad we adapted for mobile, a voiceover creative. As you can see, we add captions so that anybody can understand the ad without sound. So we use caption rather than subtitles because they are too small on mobile, very difficult to read. So captions definitely work better. It's not distracting the user from the story, so that definitely is the best options on mobile. And by doing so, we get better results with the optimized version, sound off, than the original version, sound off. The other thing that we can do on mobile is editing the story so that it's engaging from start to finish. Let's have a look at this example from Leo in Italy.
In ogni famiglia c'è sempre una prima volta per ogni cosa. Il tuo primo caffè, la sua prima missione di soccorso, la sua prima sfilata di moda, il suo primo rompere gli schemi e dare vita a un coccolo, il suo primo volo in alto fino al settimo cielo. Lego duplo, i vostri primi ricordi insieme.
So the green curve that you see on screen is the happiness curve that we measure using facial coding with Realize when we do creative labs. And what you see here is typical from a TVC, with curve building up, peaking at the end. So what we did is taking this engaging scene at the end, put it at the beginning, and we created a new asset which performed much better in terms of completion rate. So we increased the retention for this ad by 30%. Okay, all of this is great. We can adapt ads to mobile and make them work better. But it's not good enough, right? We have to go beyond that. Mobile is totally changing the game in terms of media, in terms of creative, so we have to write a new playbook. So the first rule of the playbook would be, first, to plan for attention and trust, right? And for that, you have to leverage quality content, quality environment, as well as custom pricing mode, as we discussed earlier. The second rule would be to think out of the TV box. We have to break free from the legacy of TV, right? There's no reason why an ad online should be 30 seconds. It could be 6, it could be 5, it could be 8, it could be 50, depending on what your objectives are. So we have to break free from this legacy and welcome multiple durations, size, shapes, vertical, square, and versions. Instead of having one creative that will be used for all target audiences, you can create 5. This is also an example that we did with the Creative Lab, where we took a video ad for Dior, and we found that the display format will be great to express the creative idea of the ad. So we took the strong scene and we use it to create what we call a scroller format. Right? So it's not only video, it can also be display. This is really eye-catching with the face of the model, and it creates 7-second engagement in average. Third rule, which is for me the most important, is to break the silos, right? Break the silos and make data, media, and creative work together. I don't see how DCO can ever happen if those teams don't speak to each other, right? It's never going to happen. So we have to break the silos. And in order to do that, we have launched this year what we call l'atelier. L'atelier is a creative session where we have everybody around the table and we work on the assets of the campaign that are delivered in one day. I'm going to show you a quick video. So actually we are doing it live at the moment. Check it out. You can come to our stand. The fourth rule would be to go beyond linear storytelling, the TV storytelling, and create engaging and personal experience, leveraging data and technology. So let's start with data. We can increase the relevance, which is super important, if you remember, in terms of ad effectiveness, using data and personalization, using signals such as device, the type of audience, the context the ad is placed in, and change any element within the creative assets, but also around it, right, to make the ad more personal and more effective. Actually, when we tested it in France on this Dacia campaign, we found that the effectiveness was much higher when we tested custom messaging versus just a standard campaign, and we just personalized the skin around the creative, right? So this is really working. The other thing that you can do is use technology and create new ways to interact with the consumer. This is an example that I really like from a Pampers ad for a new diaper with air channel to keep baby's bottom dry. So we expressed it in a very interesting way within digital. We create this display unit where we invited the user to click and to blow on the microphone. And when you blow on the microphone, you see the air of the baby moving. This is cute, right? It's also very effective. So this is a very good example how to adapt a creative idea to digital. Right, for the last one, I put my researcher hat on. I would say, don't only trust your experience and judgment, right? You have to unlearn everything you've learned in TV. You have to test on mobile and learn on mobile. It's cheaper than it used to be, it's quicker, and it's really changing the game in terms of outcome you can deliver. So test before the campaign starts, and you will get better results. Right, thank you very much for your time and attention. As you can see, we have really the keys to get out of the Truman Show and make advertising better for real. Thank you very much.